Designers can often hold on to everything too long because either they feel like they should do it all or they fear losing control of the project. Some of us are control freaks and we just love to have control on everything. And maybe we believe that no one else can do it as well as we can. But that is not always the case. And if you want to scale, then you're going to have to delegate because you really are limited on the amount of energy that you have. You're now listening to Design Curious, a place where you, creative one, are here to learn about what it really is like to be an interior designer. And I'm your host and mentor, Rebecca Ward. If you're worried about how to succeed in a creative career, if you're ready to learn your next steps to become an interior designer, and if you want the satisfaction of doing something you love every day, you are in the right place. Grab a coffee, a notebook, and let's dig into today's episode. Hello, and welcome to episode 189 of Design Curious Podcast. Today on the podcast, we're talking about business systems and working smarter, not harder. Many designers start their business because they love design. Obviously, it's their passion, something that they want to do forever. But then they quickly realize that they've created a job that depends entirely on them, right? Like they can't just be designing all the time. If you're a designer and the project manager, and hopefully not, but maybe the bookkeeper, and you're procuring everything, and then you're also marketing, well, burnout is going to be inevitable. So we're going to talk about how you can shift this so you can stop operating like a freelancer and start operating like a business with systems that can allow you to scale and work smarter instead of harder. So that's what we're talking about today. And I also want to encourage you that if you are interested in mentorship with me, I have my design mentor you can sign up for and work with me one-on-one and really get into the program of whatever it is you need as you're starting out. We can work on your areas. There's also 12 learning modules in there, so you can get up and going as a successful interior designer. Okay, let's get into the episode. To start with, let's talk about systems. Even though every project that you design is going to be unique in style and scope, the process that you use should be repeatable. So why do systems matter? Often designers will resist systems because creativity feels personal and fluid, right? So we want to be as creative as possible. Don't put me in a box. I need all this space to work, and I'm just going to start from scratch and get all my ideas fresh. That's all fine. You can do those things, but you can still do it within a system that is repeatable, and it's only going to help you be more efficient and profitable in the long run. So systems don't really limit creativity. They can protect it. And that's the thing that I didn't understand for a long time, and talking with so many designers through this podcast and outside the podcast, that it is hard for creatives to embrace systems because systems seem to be so structured and analytical and linear and just the opposite of creativity, which is, like I said, is very fluid and organic and fresh and new. And so there is resistance there. But when the operational side of your business runs smoothly, then you can create more space for that creativity, because sometimes if you don't have those systems, you can end up reinventing the wheel every time or forgetting things that you need to do. You might be inconsistent with the client's experience through the process. So how can they give a referral, or maybe they have given you a referral to another person, but then that experience was terrible or worse or different than what they experienced, then they're less likely to give another referral. So we don't want that. You might miss some steps, some very important steps, because your brain skipped ahead to the next thing, and then you forgot you had to actually tie that last thing up with a bow. It can easily lead to stress and burnout and unpredictable revenue if you're just staying within that creative space and reinventing the wheel every time. It's really hard to be profitable with your time. But a repeatable system can create confidence for you and for the client. It can create efficiency. So you're not reinventing that wheel every time. You're just using a template that you can pull off of and then be creative with that. And then, of course, the client's experience is going to be so much better when you have a system. And oftentimes, actually, our clients are coming to us because we're the creative one and they're the one that likes to work in a linear structured space. So they can understand when you have a system, that makes them feel comfortable. That makes them feel confident that you can get the job done. Not only will you be creative, but you can have this element that they can understand, where they might not be able to understand the creativity part of it. They can understand the system part of it. And so they know, well, at least she has a system that we can get from start to finish through this process, but I'm going to let her be the creative force behind it all. So we want that better client experience. And then it's also scalable. So once you have a system, you can teach someone else to do it with you, have an intern, or have many employees, or just even have more projects at the same time because you can switch gears because you know where everyone is in their process. So think of it as like a recipe versus improvising your dinner every night. So if you're following a recipe, you know you're going to end up with something that's edible. But if you improv your dinner every night, you might not have the right things that you need because you didn't plan ahead for it. And it might not come together the way you anticipated it to be, and then no one can eat it. So following a recipe is not bad. You can still be creative in the kitchen and have a recipe. So why should every project run the same way? Design outcome can change, but the process shouldn't. So your workflow should be predictable. It helps you plan your days, helps you plan how many projects you can take on. The typical project phases, kind of what I go through, this is kind of what it will include. So you'll start with an inquiry or discovery call or both, and then you'll have your consultation with them, which is paid, by the way. Make sure that's paid. Then you're going to submit your proposal or contract to them so that they can sign it and agree to your terms of service that you're going to be servicing them, and then you can explain your process and make sure that you have all of the areas covered that you need, like being able to photograph, being able to purchase all of the items that you're proposing, etc. Then you'll go into concept development. So that's coming up with the design. This is the part that all designers love, that they went into interior design for. So that's the money spot, right? That's where we love to hang out and to be, is coming up with that concept, creating all of that documentation to put it into a presentation and showing the client our big, beautiful project that we just developed for them that's going to change their lives. Okay, so then you have that presentation. Then you have to go into implementation. Now, not every designer does this, but if you do full service design, you're going to do procurement. You're going to order all of that furniture or materials or work with the contractor and project manage through the construction, through the delivery of the furniture and installation, and then getting that project photographed. And then you're going to follow up with the client. And I just listed about 10 things that you can do every single time. And that doesn't matter what the project scope is. It doesn't matter what the style is or who the client is. Those 10 things can be done every single time. So each phase should have maybe a checklist that you're working off of and saying, okay, I need to do this, this, this in phase 1. I need to do 4, 5, 6 in phase 2. So you have this checklist, and I use Asana for this. We have a template. We just plug it in with the client's name and then say, okay, here's all the tasks that we need to do for this project now. Even though the scope is different, the style is different, the items that we're sourcing are different, all the tasks are still applicable. So that template's going to save us so much time from reinventing, like, okay, now then what do I do after that? I need to change it into a PDF. Oh yeah, and then I have to send it over here. Yeah, that's all in there. I don't have to think about that. I already spent the first time putting that all up, setting it up in my template, and I don't have to think about it again. It's there. I just assign a date to get it done by. And then each phase should have its own timeline. So you know that when you're in the design process, you're not going to be in there for a full year. Your client has some expectation of seeing this in a fairly quick turnaround. And you might not want to do it in a week because that might not give you enough time to be as creative as possible to get all the information that you need. I like to give myself 6, 8 weeks, maybe 10 to come up with the design, fine-tune it, finalize it, and then be able to start the presentation documents. So understanding where your timeline is, like even for the client onboarding phase, if that takes you like 2 weeks, maybe it takes 3 because you have to go and measure and then you have to create that floor plan. So maybe that phase is 3 weeks and then the next one is 6 to 8 weeks. And then the implementation, depending on the project, could be 3 months. And then to wrap up the project and install is another month. So you kind of have a general timeline that you know that each project is going to be. So that way you can say, okay, well, while I'm in this preliminary phase, the onboarding phase, I'm not going to take any other new projects while I'm doing that because I need to focus my attention on this. But once that project I'm working on moves into the design phase, then I can start onboarding the next project. Or maybe you want to wait until the end. But you get to decide that, but you can also have the ability to make that judgment because you know what your timelines are. And then you can also even have templates for your communication with your clients. So you know that at certain phases, you're going to tell every client the same thing. You're like, okay, here's what to expect next. And that can all be canned emails that you just pull up, change the client's name and send it out. Make it easy on yourself, right? And then you don't have to spend as much time to write these emails and come up with the ideas and use all that brain power that you want to be focused on your creativity. And it also creates a luxury client experience because everything feels organized and intentional. And that's a win for your client. So then let's talk about delegation and outsourcing. At some point, your growth is limited by, of course, how many hours that you personally have in a day or that you're willing to work. Maybe you only want to work 30 hours in a week, but you want to take on some more projects. So designers can often hold on to everything too long because either they feel like they should do it all or they fear losing control of the project. Some of us are control freaks and we just love to have control on everything. And maybe we believe that no one else can do it as well as we can. But that is not always the case. And if you want to scale, then you're going to have to delegate because you really are limited on the amount of energy that you have. And so what are the tasks that you could outsource? Well, obvious ones are administrative work. So your email management, maybe scheduling, that can be automated through different apps. Your bookkeeping, you should be outsourcing to a bookkeeper, and invoicing your time or your clients for a product, that can be outsourced to someone else. And sometimes it can help too. If you're doing hourly invoices and someone else is sending out the invoice, they're less likely to shave off time that you worked than you are because everyone deals with that problem like, oh, there's too many hours this month. My client's never going to pay that. I'm going to take these hours off. Of course, you should never do that. But if someone else is sending out that invoice, they don't feel that way. So they're just going to send it out like it is. And that can help you to be more profitable. You can also outsource the design support part of it. So like CAD drawings, maybe you never learned CAD and you just want someone else to do CAD drawings for you. You can outsource that. You can outsource renderings really easily or creating spec sheets. That can also be done by someone else. It doesn't need your creativity for that, right? Your genius. You can outsource operations like procurement or order tracking or expediting. That can all be done by a third party, or you can hire someone to come into the office and do it for you. And then there's the marketing you can outsource, social media, podcast if you have one, or newsletters, a blog, advertising, anything like that. You can outsource to another company or person in your office. But the goal here is to protect your highest value work, which is your creative direction, the relationship with the clients, that they want to be working with you, right? So they need your attention, and hopefully you're not totally stressed out and maxed out so that you can have a better relationship with them. Your projects need your vision and also your leadership in your business. We've talked about how if you own your business, you are a leader as a designer in all different aspects. And we talked about automating. So you're going to want to think about automating where possible, just to create efficiency and save you time, stress, energy, and it just makes sense, especially with all the options that are out there now, and AI being able to partner with a lot of these just makes it so much easier. So you can automate your client intake forms, your appointment scheduling, contract signatures, invoices and retainers, proposal templates, email responses, and project checklists. Those can all be automated with different tools. A lot of them software. So like Honeybook or Dubsado can be a lot of the client onboarding phase. Studio Designers, what I use is a accounting software for interior designers, and that helps me process and project manage my projects well, capturing all of the deposits for proposals and making sure that the freight is all captured and everything like that. So it's a nice software for that. Design Manager is also good for that. Mydoma Studio, Asana I talked about, ClickUp is another one, or Monday.com that can do task management. And then QuickBooks also works for accounting and also partners with a lot of different other programs like Programma for project management software. So there's a lot out there, and you don't have to do everything by hand. You shouldn't be using just spreadsheets unless you only have one client and you're just starting out. As you get bigger, you should be moving on to other software, so it saves your time. The other area you're going to want to create systems around is your habits around analyzing your business. And this is something that isn't really thought of often, but creating a system for looking at your financials. So you might want to think about this, because oftentimes designers might feel intimidated by their numbers and not comfortable being in a CEO type position of their business, but really you are if you own your own business. So you're going to want to create habits and systems for checking your revenue monthly, checking on your profit margins, your operating expenses, each project's profitability, so you know what kind of projects you want to focus on. And you also want to check on your cash flow to make sure that you've got money coming in and out as you need it. And so, yeah, you should be reviewing your financials every month. So put that in your task management software and just make a time for CEO related tasks that maybe aren't project related. You're not going to want to just do this during tax season. You need to do this all year long. Understand your numbers, and it helps you to price your services properly, avoid cash flow issues, and then it can help you if you are scaling to hire or understand when to hire if you can afford it, and then it can help you grow sustainably. And there's a few checkpoints as a CEO that you might want to check on and create systems around. And that would be like your business performance. So checking, like I said, your revenue, profitability, upcoming pipeline. So what kind of projects are coming in? Do you have a wait list? And then you can talk about the progress of each project, and are they moving forward? Are there bottlenecks? Are you the bottleneck? Like, can people not move past a certain point because they're waiting for you to give these answers, but you're busy doing something else? So you want to make sure your projects are moving forward in a timely fashion and have a system around that. You want to have a system around your marketing to make sure you understand where your leads are coming from and how much money you're spending, what is working, what's not, where you see return for your investment. And then systems around your operations. So just making sure you're efficient and that you've documented your systems so that you can hand it off to somebody who's new into your company, an intern, a new employee, or just someone you're partnering with. It'll make it run so much smoother. Okay, so bottom line, though, I want you to remember is that systems create freedom. As much as you might think it doesn't, it does. Designers will often think systems make their business feel corporate and cold and just not what they're envisioning their design business to be. But the truth is the opposite. Systems can create flexibility, especially it can give you some free time to go and help you to be more a creative person, right? You need to have that off time and time to do your hobbies and go visit someplace that's going to inspire you. And so having that flexibility in your schedule because you've created systems is important. And it gives you predictability in your schedule, in your calendar coming up. It gives you profitability, of course, and then just freedom as a business owner. And so instead of being trapped in your business, you can start leading your business. And that allows you to focus on the part that made you fall in love with design in the first place, creating those beautiful spaces that change how people live. So I hope this episode has inspired you to actually create some systems, not be afraid of them. Like I said, I was not really excited about creating systems. I thought that, I'm a creative. I don't really need to have those kinds of things in my business. The design's going to carry me, but that's not true. I realized as I was not making money and I was completely burned out that something had to change, and that was implementing systems. So you want to build systems that support you so you can be the most successful designer that you can and use your talent appropriately and run your business intelligently. So I know you can. Check out links in the show notes that I have for you. And also don't forget that we can have a link in there for the replay of that webinar that we had earlier this year for Launch Your Business Bootcamp. But the webinar was really well attended, and so we made it available to you as a replay. It's 5 money moves to start your interior design business right. Okay, so that's all I have for you this week. Next week, we'll have another great episode. And until then, stay creative. Thanks for listening. If you love this episode, please leave a rating and a review. This helps me reach other curious creatives like you. If you have a topic request or would like to contact me, simply head over to my website, rwarddesign.com, or email me at podcast@rwarddesign.com.